For the past few months, something kind of weird has been happening on YouTube. Creators started noticing that their videos just didn't look quite right. And we're not talking about a camera glitch or some editing mistake on their end. Nope, the changes were happening after they hit that upload button.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Is one of the biggest video platforms on the entire planet secretly going in and acting as an editor on your content, making changes without you even knowing, let alone giving permission? Well, the short answer is yeah. But the long answer? That's where things get way more complicated. And honestly, a lot more concerning.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. This whole story really kicked off when creators, the people who live and breathe video quality, started seeing these subtle but really unsettling changes to their own work. And it was happening specifically on YouTube Shorts. The creator, Rhett Scholl, just put it so bluntly. He said, "I did not consent to this." And that quote, it just perfectly captures that core feeling of violation. I mean, imagine pouring your heart into something you're proud of, only to see the platform itself alter it, and not for the better. It feels like a misrepresentation of your own work. So what exactly were they seeing? Well, another creator, Rick Beto, said his hair looked strange, quote, almost like I was wearing makeup. Rhett Scholl described this weird, smoothed oil painting effect on his face. Wrinkles in their clothes were getting artificially sharpened, while skin just looked warped. These weren't your typical compression issues. This was something else entirely. So after months of the community speculating about what was going on, YouTube finally came out and confirmed it. And get this, it wasn't a bug, it was a feature. There was a secret AI-powered editor working behind the scenes. YouTube's official line was that it was an experiment. They said they were using, and I'm quoting here, traditional machine learning technology on some shorts to improve video quality. Stuff like denoising and sharpening, kind of like what your smartphone does automatically. Their goal, they said, was to give viewers the best video quality possible. But here's the massive catch. It was all happening in the dark. Nobody asked for consent, and there was absolutely no way to opt out. By changing a creator's work without their permission, YouTube was basically damaging the trust that creator has with their audience, making the content feel, well, inauthentic. But believe it or not, these secret video edits, they're just the tip of the iceberg. It turns out your content and mine, and pretty much everyone's, is being used for something much, much bigger than just sharpening a few YouTube shorts. It's being used to train the entire next generation of artificial intelligence. 20 billion. That's the estimated number of YouTube videos that Google can just pull from to train its AI. Think about that. It's a library of human creativity on a scale that's just, it's hard to even imagine, right? And it's all being fed straight into the machine. And what is all this data training? Oh, just the biggest names in AI. We're talking about Google's own heavy hitters like Gemini and its new video generator VO3. But it doesn't stop there. This data has also been used to train models from a who's who of big tech: Amazon, Apple, NVIDIA, even Salesforce. At this point, you're probably asking, how is this even legal? Well, surprise, surprise, it's buried right here in the terms of service that we all click agree on. When you upload a video, you grant YouTube this incredibly broad, sublicensable, and transferable license. It's a pretty safe bet that most creators never in a million years imagined their work would become training data for a global AI arms race. So, as you can probably imagine, once the community really understood the full picture, from the secret edits all the way to the AI training, the backlash was, well, it was swift, and it was fierce. Comments just started flooding forums. This one from a user on Reddit who called the use of AI to analyze our watch history peak dystopia really captures the mood. There's this growing sense of unease about being constantly analyzed by these algorithms we can't see. And another user just gets right to the heart of it, calling it a total breach of trust. The feeling is that the platform isn't just a host anymore. It feels like it's become an active participant that's exploiting content in ways that were never, ever made clear to us. And all this frustration, it's now fueling real-world action. This whole issue of scraping data to train AI without consent isn't just a YouTube problem. Major lawsuits have been filed against companies like OpenAI and Midjourney. Even Hollywood studios are now suing AI image generators. This is setting the stage for some huge legal battles over who owns what in the digital age. Now, all this backlash isn't just happening in a bubble. As AI gets more and more powerful, governments all over the world are scrambling to create some new rules for the road. we're seeing major new regulations pop up. The EU's AI Act, for example, is one of the first really comprehensive laws to classify AI systems by how risky they are. And over in the US, California's CCPA is now giving people the right to opt out of automated decision making, which is a direct response to exactly the kind of data usage we're talking about here. So, with all this pressure, YouTube did introduce a new tool. It's a toggle switch right in your YouTube studio that lets you manage how your content is used for AI training. By default, you're opted out, but you do have the option to grant access to specific outside companies if you want to. It looks like a step in the right direction, right? Giving control back to creators. But, and you knew there was a but coming, and this is the most critical piece of the entire puzzle. You gotta read the fine print. That toggle, it only applies to third-party companies. It gives you zero, absolutely zero, control over whether Google, YouTube's parent company, uses your content to train its own multi-billion-dollar AI models. The main pipeline, it's still wide open. So all of this, the secret edits, the massive data scraping, these little half-measure solutions, it really all boils down to one fundamental question for our time, one that every single one of us is going to have to deal with sooner or later. If your creativity, your voice, your work, if all of that is being used as the raw material to train an artificial intelligence that could, in theory, one day do your job, who really owns that content? And maybe more importantly, who's really benefiting from its creation? That's the question that sits right at the heart of YouTube's big AI dilemma.